Oh, lost in space and time on a mission they were never meant to return from. Aaron, we have returned.
We've returned.
The Comic Shop does a podcast live. Oh, wow, we're really loud today. And my microphone is in my face.
Everybody having a good evening out there?
Hey.
All right. And joining us tonight, we have very special. Oh, actually,
Regular guests.
Well, let's introduce
No, that's a
ourselves
very good
first. Jeez, I'm so
We're going to
rusty
get so
here.
excited.
I'm Aaron Z. Lee. I was written by Isaac Asimov, and Will Smith did something with this as well. I'm Aaron Z. Lee, iRobot.
Oh, and I am Evan Coy. I'm confused and ill-prepared today, which would be no different than any other podcast that we do. And we're here with regular guest star.
Regular guest star Michael Callie.
Callie.
I'm all alone today.
You're all alone, but you're very big.
And
Yeah.
you've got a computer.
And you've got a
Oh
computer.
my gosh! Holy cow!
Look at this. We're living in the
Hardest
future.
working regular guest star in podcasting history.
I feel like the desk is falling apart. I feel like when Alex and I built this like a year ago, we needed to leave like a little bit more of a lip
A lip you
for these
say.
mic stands. And I just feel like there's a lot of wobble lately. Like eventually one of these will just snap.
Like a hat wobble?
Actually, although we could just rip the whole piece of plywood off of this.
Hi-oh.
And rip the whole piece of plywood off of this and just get a thicker piece of plywood to replace it with. I don't think that would be that big of a deal. I don't know.
Welcome to Plywood Chat on Comic Shop Does a Podcast, where we talk about all the different finishes that we might put on the table.
Welcome
of the
back to
podcasting
Plywood,
table.
Whywood, with your favorite Woodies here live.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Wallywood. No, that's not true.
We
Although-
could talk about Wallywood. You could talk about Wallywood.
I mean, he's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
Got some very good stuff. Tragic figure, famous for EC Comics and other things. Warren Magazines, he did some great stuff for.
Yeah.
Wits End, great
Famous
anthology
for
book.
telling people to cut their hands off, right? What did
Well,
he?
that's
What was his
it's a
quote?
very sad quote. Do you want me to say it?
Yes, could you?
He said, if I could do it all over again, I'd cut my hands off. Wally Wood.
Because
Well, he liked to be called Wallace Wood. I think he actually liked the nickname Wally.
I feel like his billing was always Wally Wood, though.
Anytime I've seen his name anywhere, it's been Wallywood.
Yeah.
That's
Or,
interesting.
or he'll just sign it Wood with the black letter, like kind of classic script. But amazing illustrator, one of the best who ever did it. Wally Wood, Wallace Wood.
Wally Wood.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have the stream open?
I do have the stream open.
I don't
right
see
now.
any of my chat stuff today. So if you do see things in the chat, your job today is to just interrupt and say there's a comment in the chat because I
Okay.
don't know where the chat stuff
So
is.
we have one comment from one of our two believers, Jonathan Legoman. LOL came in at 11 this week, and that's all we've got so far.
Came
Thank
in
you.
at 11 this week.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Came in at 11.
I don't know what that means.
But in terms of volume, like we're
I'm-
at
I
11
would-
out of 10.
I think so. Maybe.
All right, yeah, we've analyzed that. I think we figured out what is being communicated to us. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about some comics that we've read recently, some newer releases.
I love how I used to get on you for blocking, but the past 3 or 4 weeks, I literally keep the stand for the mic right in front of my face.
Well, you know, sometimes things work out. I got to say, I look great this week.
You look
know?
great every week.
Oh, thank you.
You're a very handsome man. You're a classically handsome man.
Oh, thank you very much.
You have strong features and sideburns.
The comic shop Superman.
Yeah, I don't know why I just stuck with the sideburns. Maybe it's influence from Wolverine, or I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I saw somebody from the 1960s with thick black glasses and the sideburns. I said, you know what, that's for me.
I rocked Well, this was just an early 2000 thing. I had sideburns for a little while. Maybe your length are a little longer, but not too much longer.
I don't know why I did it, but I just keep doing it. And
Your
when I
wife-
shave them off, my wife doesn't like it.
Your wife would like to know that you're very modest.
Well, wait, I think I actually did play modest.
Yeah, that's what she said. You're modest.
Well, usually she's making fun of me, so I don't know what to believe anymore.
Also, thank you. I really like my shirt too. I love
Yeah.
representing Keith Haring any opportunity I can.
yeah, Keith Haring and Bosca, baby.
We were talking about Keith Haring a few weeks, well, maybe a few months ago at this point
I
in
feel
time.
like we're always talking about Keith Haring.
Great looking graphic novel that was over in this corner.
Yeah,
And
I brought
then,
it home with me, but I'll bring it back sometime.
And then I kind of got into, like, have you seen any Banksy stuff? So then I brought in some
Banksy.
Banksy, thank you. I pronounce that incorrectly all the time, and I will always pronounce it incorrectly, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Penguin.
Penguin. But just, I was like, oh, this is kind of a different commentary, different style of art, but it's still that very public art.
Yes.
And boy, I felt like there were a lot of parallels between Keith Haring and Banksy.
That finish is making more sense. I'm just looking at this thing on the big lights.
Oh, do you want to look at the finish on? Do you want to go into Pink Lemonade first?
Sure,
Or do you want
let's
to
go
do
into
you wanna
Pink
do-
Lemonade.
Let's do Pink Lemonade because it's naturally where I'm kind of going here.
So Pink Lemonade. Actually, I'm going to let you kind of talk about Pink Lemonade because I think that you're the one who got on the Nick Cognetti bandwagon well before the rest of us and kind of brought us into the world of Nick Cognetti and what he's doing. And boy, is that dude freaking talented.
Yeah, Nick Cognetti out of Arizona. I think he's a guy in his 20s, maybe late 20s.
I think he's like 27. He's a
Yeah.
baby. He's like Michael Kelly's age.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess we're the same age.
I think I must have become aware of him, like take a shot on the kayfabe group, because I think Jim Rugg did a variant cover for one of his early books, and I looked into it and really liked his work on, because I think issue 1 and 2 of this were released on another publisher before something happened, and
They were.
and he had to go do something else.
I
And
don't remember
eventually
what the
he
other
landed at
publisher
Oni.
was. Yeah,
I think it was It's Alive Press.
I don't know.
I think
I
so.
think you're right.
But
Aaron.
but he did in the Spirit of Shadows with a writer collaborator which is a great little gothic horror book that he illustrated. I think that was all traditional, as opposed to Pink Lemonade. I believe is digital.
I believe it's all digital. At least from the stuff he shared on social media, I don't see well. Actually, this is a mixed media book because when you start to get into issues 5
Oh,
and
yeah.
6, there's a lot going on in here, and I think we're not going to go through everything because
don't wanna spoil
you
it.
wanted to discover some of this stuff for yourself.
This is very Klausian right here.
Yeah, but he's the comic artist that's used the most multimedia I think I've ever seen. Look at that.
Yeah,
Oh,
just the stuff he's doing in this book, and the spirit of this too. Like, it's visually stunning. I don't know if there's a better looking book that came out this year. I don't know.
this is the most
in there.
This is the most beautiful book I've seen in the past 12 months. I think I can safely say that. I could go back to like Carmen from Image back in, that was maybe 2020, 2021. That was a beautifully illustrated book. I don't know. This is just a super fun book too, on top of it just being
Yeah.
so well rendered. And
So the premise of it is an amnesiac stunt cycle rider wakes up, and she has a sense of wonder for everything that's around her, and she makes friends with people, and then there's also some conflict.
oh, look at that store.
I know, right? And this, I really, really want Pink Lemonade to be like a huge like blockbuster hit, because it just acknowledges like fandom and like collectibles and like people's enthusiasm for the things that they like.
And it's very positive.
Yeah.
That I feel like a lot of fan bases and things like that can be very toxic.
Yes.
And there can
Yeah.
be a lot of negative energy associated with them. And this touches on that, obviously. But I think it paints, you can have fandom in a very positive light.
Like, I love this. They'll just plop down the couch watching their favorite OJ Bot VHS cassette tape.
that's a Wesley the Robot scene, right? Where they're just sitting on the couch watching a VHS.
It exists in the comic strip, and I'm working my way back to it. And there's going to be an analog of,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this that exists. I was actually looking at some reference images for that today, even though I'm like probably years away from doing that one. But yeah, I just love the spirit of it. And he acknowledges like the dark, like the grim and gritty OJ Bot, like the evolution of it, and just having like these great like positive relationships with people. And then we've got our Rob Liefeld inspired
Radical
character
Ron.
Oh yeah,
Radical
Radical
Ron.
Ron.
doing movies.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this book is no matter how serious it ever got or how
Yeah.
heavy the message may have been at one point or another, there was never a moment where it felt like it was too dark or too much for any age.
Yes.
And I found that to be really, really impressive. Like it's hard to have that good mix where you can encapsulate all ages and make it accessible for anyone from ages like 5 all the way up to 95. But Nick
Yeah.
did an amazing job of doing that. Adding a few callbacks to longtime comic readers with his back ad pages in between all of his issues too. Just so much talent and so much innovation in 6 issues.
His back page ads made me so angry because all of them I was like, I should know what this is. I should know what this is.
Yeah.
And then I would rack my brain and I'd do a couple Google image searches or I'd look through some old comics that I'd have. And then he would post the reference for it. And I'd be like, God, I knew that. I knew that. But just the way he twisted those and made those just wonderfully executed.
There's
And I'll be ripping this off as well for the Wesley Collected Edition, because sometimes the pagination doesn't quite line up correctly. That's when you get one of these.
Yeah. We talk about this quite a bit, actually. Even today, Michael was going through some books, and I was like, "Let me see the back ad," and it wasn't the ad that I thought it was. But so many of those ads from like the '90s take me right back to being a kid. They're almost
Yeah.
bigger nostalgia hits than the books themselves.
Well, because
Like,
they were on every book.
because they're on every book, like the Crunch and Munch, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
that ad is just burned into my head. That like every time I see that on the back of a 1993, comic, it's like, oh, yep, that's Little Evan.
I love these little references. This isn't the only one too, but we've got Daria, and I can't remember her friend.
I can't remember a friend, but I know that Beavis and Butthead also make a brief cameo in Pink Lemonade at one point as well. Somewhere around the Daria cameo, actually.
I think they were in this issue as well.
I have a
It might be Jane.
Daria's friend's name, Jane.
Jane.
That's what Cecilia says.
I believe
don't
it.
know.
We'll believe you.
I go with it.
Uh,
We don't fact check anything here, so
Exactly.
in my Wesley the Robot series, Saggy Bottom Captain America does make an appearance as well.
Very nice.
Based on a real guy I saw wearing a Captain America costume at Flaming Lips concert.
is that like Brazil?
Flaming Lips concert, really?
Yeah, we've seen them a few times. I saw them at Cornell, maybe the first time.
Is that like Brazilian butt lift, butt chin Batman?
He's maybe his nemesis. Saggy Bottom Captain America, Brazilian butt lift, butt chin Batman. Jim Lee, give us a call. We got a pitch.
We're ready to go.
We'll keep it on time every month. 24 pages of Brazilian butt chin butt lift Batman. Like, look at that. Here's your amalgam reference of Marvel versus DC
Yeah.
versus Ron Radical. That's just the level of, like, it's one thing to come up with an idea of this, but then it's executed.
So perfectly.
Yeah. Like you can tell there's
Look
blood,
at that.
sweat,
Go
and
back to
tears
that
in
chess
this thing.
page just for a second, too. The layouts that he does. I mean, just the design elements, the color. We even talked about the color. Actually, that's the
Yeah.
one thing. And I'm not going to be negative about this because I think this is a brilliant collection of brilliant work. The individual issues had a bit of a glossier paper, and I felt like the colors for that popped so well. That this is a little bit more of a matte finish, I guess, for a paper, but just the color, the layout, the design, all of these like spiraling elements, and it's still very, very readable. It's we talk about George Perez sometimes as like a guy who could include 1,000 little elements in something, but it was still a very much readable book. I feel like there's a similar vibe going on here. Obviously, a very different art style,
Yeah.
but really understands how to make a page work with a million little things going on. Very, very. That's a huge talent.
Yeah, he's just like pulling out all the stops. And it's not just like, there's a ton of effort in one spread. Every single page has attention to
That was
like
the
fading out the background, like detail instinct and stuff, like backgrounds, multiple figures.
The weird thing about this book is every month it got better. And like
Yeah.
issue 1 came out and you're like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then issue 2 came out and you're like, oh, he topped himself. And then issue 3 comes out and you're like, how does he keep topping himself?
Yeah, it got to the point where you would end up just excited at the prospect that the next issue was coming out because you just couldn't wait to see what Nick was going to throw at you next.
And I think that peaked with like issue 5, which
I-
and then
definitely,
6 was kind of like the ribbon on everything, where it's like
Yes.
you were tidying up our house, and it's just such a great read.
And and the stuff with OJ Bot, so well done. I don't want to spoil too much here, but
Can you do a couple of the pages of the multimedia in
Okay,
issue
yeah.
5 or 6?
Those are, as long as you're not reading them, they're not very spoiler.
Like again,
heavy.
yeah, we've got this.
We've got
You can just get to
pixelated art
see it,
right
yeah.
here. And the thing too, when he's going through these different styles, executing it a totally different style.
You've
in
got
a-
like
in
the
a great way.
Scooby Doo, Hanna Barbera type, not Hanna Barbera,
I forgot
No,
about
it is
yeah,
Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera.
It was
I
I
Hanna-Barbera.
forgot about
Hanna-Barbera.
the Scooby Doo page.
where it's the recycled backgrounds and the characters
it's great.
running through it, like
Yeah.
just a great gag.
Osamu Tezuka
Yep.
pages,
You've got some
claymation
Yeah,
or 3D.
There was both. Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
claymation things. Like, oh my gosh, like he really like.
Went ham on this.
Oh, he's so good.
We got to see those. If he doesn't get in the Eisner, if he's not nominated for an Eisner,
If this book doesn't qualify for that, yeah, I don't know what would.
yeah, there's no
Like,
hope
look
for
at
anybody.
this stuff. Oh my god, he's so talented.
Yeah, and then like a totally different, like fully rendered painting style.
Hmm.
Although I think it's still digital, but yeah, and then like Betty Boop style, like Steamboat Willie
Mm-hmm.
type stuff in there. Yeah, just a tour de force of an all ages book that's got all kinds of emotions and messages, and it's very positive. Yeah, look at all these variant covers too. Shaky Kane, Got some Rich Tommaso in there. There's the Jim Rugg one.
Jim Rugg.
I think that's how I got into it. And then these are these the original ones? Oh, I think this is what he,
Yes.
these must be what he had planned.
He got issues 1 and 2 out, and you were right. It's Alive Publishing.
Yeah, and these must be some sketches and stuff.
You had some fan art printed in one of his books.
I did, yeah. The Holiday Grab Bag Special. Don Simpson had some stuff in there, and
You and Dandy Don, a combination that can't be beat.
me and Dandy Don, the best of friends. I've met him twice. He's nice enough. He was at Ithacon. I'll probably see him again next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pink Lemonade. Can't recommend it enough.
It comes with the comic shop's highest recommendation.
Get it at the Oswego Comic Shop. Get it today.
112 East Bridge Street, the comic shop.
Do you want to just
Yeah, let's jump right into that because that's a
Xeno?
logical.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
So this is yeah.
Michael, did you want to talk about this book, or did you?
Well, I figured we could all talk about it. I don't have anything specific that I feel like I need to talk about one way or another here. So we are more than welcome to share the Xeno project together. What I think would be fun. Has everyone read this at this point?
I've
I've-
read it.
yes.
but right
You
before.
speed read it? Okay. So
It's on my stack on my chair.
I didn't read every story, but I read the ones that I
Yes.
thought
so
were
you read
prettiest.
the Nick Cagnetti and you read the Shaky Kane.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Phil
don't-
Hester's not bad either.
I
like
love Phil Hester.
Yeah.
Phil Hester's a lot older than I thought.
Which
I
story
feel
was the Phil Hester
is
story?
a young guy to me, but he's been around
Yeah,
forever.
he's a veteran.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about the cover is it's got pink.
Yep.
Got some pink on there, so I'm going to pick it up. The colors are very strong.
Matt Wisniewski, right?
Yeah, Matt Lesniewski, who did the Freak, and what was that book he did for Dark Horse? I have it on my spinner rack.
No idea.
I can see it in my head. I have an issue of it at home.
No idea.
Yeah, but he's an excellent artist. Very unique. I don't think I've ever seen anybody's artwork that looks
No, he seems to have a style all to himself.
like if you fused Mobius with Richard Corbin, kind of.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
like the highest praise you could possibly give.
Crimson Flowers, the book you're
Oh
Crimson
yeah,
Flower,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I did know that.
Crimson
Oh,
Flower.
Wait,
gosh.
do you see what I'm talking about, though?
Yep. No, I'm not. I'm not disagreeing.
Or maybe there's like a Von Baudet in the mix. Too.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
And I'm just going to compare him to like the all
Yes,
of
yes.
the best of the best cream of the crop illustrators. But yeah, these covers are very good, very entertaining. Yeah, I'm just going to go to. Should I just go to the ones that?
Yeah,
This didn't look bad,
The
but I
first story. So the first story in this, Hugh. Who's that by? This is by Melissa Flores and illustrated by Daniel Irizarry, lettered by Jim Campbell. It wasn't a bad story. It definitely was. I think it was just one of a kind of story that's kind of been redone over and over again. It's very classic sci-fi. Oh, this experimental surgery happened. What could possibly go wrong? I think the art. I don't mind it. I think it's weaker than what surrounds it, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
I
And
think it's
the
nice.
story
I'm not.
It's very
carries
nice.
well.
Yeah.
It's just compared to what we get a few pages later from Cagnetti and from Shaky Kane. It's a great way to start the book. I'm glad it's not at the end because it would have been judged even harsher if we didn't have if we didn't have other stories or we had other stories before it. Which puts us to Rabbit Trap, which is Shaky Kane.
Yeah, some Shaky Kane. He's also got what's the book that he has that's out now?
Weird something.
Weird Work.
You want me to go
Weird
grab
Work.
that too?
Yeah, go
All right.
grab a Weird Work.
Yeah, there are 4 copies of Weird Work on the wall because nobody at the comic shop could decide who was supposed to get what copies. So if you want one, you have to come fight for it with the rest of us. Nobody got a copy of that in their box. So
Yeah, we've got this Rabbit Trap story. Are we going to give away the twist to it?
it's a hard story to not give away the twist to.
But the twist kind of makes the story because I was
Exactly.
kind of reading along and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
and then the
the-
twist happens and I'm like,
So I guess the non spoilery way to put the story would be sometimes the thing that you're afraid of the most is not what you should be afraid of at all, whether it's your neighbor or not. And I don't know if that's a good job of wrapping it up, but that's about all you're going to get out of us from it one way or another.
My neighbors are afraid of me.
Because you're right. We're gonna have to skip the whole last page if we don't want to spoil this for anyone.
yeah. So we'll just but once that twist happens, it is so much fun.
And the art is really really fun in it. What I find really impressive about Shaky Kane, once again, to not to give away too much from the book, how can you draw two characters so similar, but have them be so different at the same time? looking at each other face to face.
Yeah, he's got such an economy of how he does comics, because I'm sure that it's not effortless,
Right.
but you look at it and it's just so clear, and it's almost like the absence of anything you don't need. I mean, there's a couple little details like creases and stuff like that, but it's like just the right amount. There's something to it. Like I think I described it kind of as like punk Jack Kirby.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I love his stuff. I forget when I came across his stuff, but I got The Beef and
Oh, the beef was really good.
Coffin. What is
Yeah,
it?
is he just another kayfabe guy that cropped up in your?
It
Because
must be.
you put me on Shaky Kane too.
Yep, I learned about
Yeah.
him from Pink Lemonade #1. He did one of the
Yeah,
variant
I mean,
covers.
Yeah.
they talk about so many different artists that, like, it's only a matter of time before you run across somebody you like. And then we've got, I didn't read this one, but the Phil Hester one. Did you read this one, Mike?
She Took the Air.
Yes.
I had a very hard time following this one, and that's my fault, not anyone else's. Sometimes I'm not good at picking up context clues. I thought this book was drawn very, very well.
Yeah, the art's great.
Yeah, I love the
I like
art.
the art more than I enjoyed the story. The story, like I said, was it has a point, but I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, which is my fault, not anyone else's. But at the very least, it's great to flip through. The
No, we
art's
can blame
really
other
strong.
people. Who
No,
do
I
we
don't
want to?
blame
Who do we
other
want to
people.
assign the blame for this for?
Well, if I have to blame the writer, then I have to blame Phil Hester as well, because he did both.
No, let's not blame Phil Hester.
But
it's very pretty.
It is
yeah,
very
it's
pretty.
not uncommon for people who draw very well to not be as good at writing, and that's okay. You know, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. Some people are great at both, and some people aren't. But composition wise, this was really fun.
Did he write Fire Breather?
Very attention grabbing.
I don't know.
I like that book a lot.
I don't know if he did that or not. But yeah. But hey, anyway, here we are. We're back to Nick Cognetti.
Is this the last story in here too? It is.
Yeah, as it should be.
And what a way to end a
Whew.
sci-fi anthology.
Yeah. So what's going on with this is they have an influencer who's like a TikToker. Or he's a Twitch star, much like us.
Yes.
We're Twitch stars. So we'll be in a similar story to this very soon. Who's
Can't
a
wait.
gamer, and
Oh, apparently we're going to blame Joe for that last story. Football MM, I'm not sure that it says we're going to blame Joe.
All right, I can agree with that.
Okay. Yeah.
So
hey, you got your chat to work.
No, I didn't. I actually had to open up on the phone.
Oh, okay.
But in this one, the company contacts this person and injects them with something that turns their own body into a gaming system.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
And then he wakes up the next day with his cat, and he's got some scratch marks, and he's thinking, "Oh, it must just be from the cat." And then he finds out that the guy who injected him with the thing has been strangled. And then what's this?
A naughty word.
Oh, yeah, we'll cover that up. He finds the thing that I used to cut clay. As an
Oh.
art teacher.
I
Oh,
think
is that what
it's
that
you.
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for cut and clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just in every other Hollywood movie they're used for something else.
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
Cutting heads off and cutting clay. You use the same.
I don't know. I haven't cut off
Same
any
piano
heads.
wire.
I'm the most dangerous art teacher around. Let's just put it that way.
You are the classroom. Like, yeah, if things go down, and you have to defend the school, all the weapons are in your classroom, right? Don't answer that.
I plead the fifth. Yeah, so I don't. Do we want to give it away? But I mean, there's some great stuff. Very visceral punch
Yeah,
ending.
this is the question of the night, because this was such a great way to end not just a sci-fi anthology, but it kind of pushes it into the horror category.
Oh, definitely.
almost. But that last big reveal, I mean, I think people should figure that one out on their own. If
Yeah,
you,
yeah, get the
if
book.
you really want to see Nick Cagnetti
do the
his-
opposite of Pink
his-
Lemonade.
Yeah, do his worst in the best way possible. Pick this book up. We've got extra copies here. He deserves the sales. So we won't spoil that for you, but you will not forget.
Something that was more visceral for me than anything I read in Red Room because
Oh my
because
God,
it,
yeah.
because it balances against all this other stuff where you feel for the character and you see them go on a
No, Nick.
struggle.
Nick did not write this.
No.
Okay.
No, he did not.
Chris Condon, I think, wrote it.
I think
Okay.
I think you're right.
I don't know if he's a previous collaborator. I don't remember if he's who wrote The Spirit of Shadows or not. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I can't recall right now. But Yeah, really, really well done. Very visceral. Good conclusion to this. Let's see if we can get past this page and
Let's
at least
go
go
We
to
can at least look at cover for issue 2.
yeah, Matt Lesniewski for issue number 2. This guy with this crazy VR
Yeah,
thing.
like
so,
that.
So dimensional. Like you feel the dimension on
Yes.
all that. Like he's somebody you could translate their work into like a 3D animation,
Mhm.
and I think it could work. And that doesn't always work. But anyway, oh look at that! Shock, terror, fun, dwellings. What? Jay Stevens' Dwellings. Looks a lot like one of those retro. Definitely
it's
not
like
for kids.
It's a Richie
Or
Rich.
cowards. Kids are cowards.
Oh,
Fair enough.
all right,
All right.
good.
You gonna take the helm?
No, you're. What do we want to do that, or do you want to look at
Just
a
wanna-
shaky cane, or do you want to do
Yeah, let's do some shaky cane. Yeah, this book came in. I supported this on Kickstarter. Weird work.
just that first page? That's so great.
This is
Yep.
what you get with shaky cane,
Yeah.
though.
Yep.
Like you get the absurdity.
Yes, which is what the beef was.
Yes.
And I loved the absurdity of the beef, but there was like a real story there, and it was
Yes.
very clever in how he executed. And then it's just these goofy characters that are
Mhm.
running around. Like, just it checks a lot of boxes.
But they were kind of executed in a serious way, though, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of that's what I responded to in Ninja Turtles, where it's this absurd concept, but they're like brothers, and there's a real relationship
Yeah.
there, and you know they really care for each other and their dad, and etc. And then we have this very foul-mouthed pig.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just so good. Like a pig mafia boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitting the ejection seat on his limo as the rest of his goons get gunned down.
Yep.
Just like this is why comics are great. Like this is just so much like pop fun, so much absurdity. This is what I don't know. When I think of comics and what they can be,
Even the talking
Shaky
head
cane.
6-panel grid there, like, it's simple colors, but like, I don't know. I just it's a great 6-panel grid for me.
yeah, I love this. The police chief guy,
Mhm.
you know, nonsense. You just like it plays off all those tropes of like the buddy cop movie. And I just love the character designs, like the super bold colors.
Actually, that's another thing that I feel like him and Cagnetti have in common. Just great character designs.
Yes. And they're unique. Like they're somewhat familiar. Like he kind of reminds me of Silver Surfer a little bit with some of his like face design. It's just like mashed up Marvel characters in this horrible a dead body strewn across the page. But yeah, this is a really great series. This is a lot of fun. Like if you like Buddy Cop, if you like Jack Kirby, if you like absurdity, if you like Flaming Carrot,
Bob Burden.
come on down to the comic shop, 112 East Bridge Street.
The comic shop.
Get yourself some weird work.
Oh, what do we want? I'm just looking at the chat. I'm saying
yeah.
hi to Football MM.
I don't- are you tired of hearing
why
me talk?
Why isn't Dexter on the Gimme Indie Comics broadcast?
I don't know. I mean, I guess this kind of is, right?
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's all indie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you tired of hearing me talk?
No, I like hearing you talk.
Okay, we can get back into some Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This is their latest work, Night Fever. Now, if you've never heard of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips before, this could be a very good entry into their world. It's very good compared to their other stuff. It's a short work, so everything that they do here in a condensed, no fat, like no extraneous stuff kind of way, and it is very good. It's a different story. I love.
Oh,
that
I just
cover,
realized
too.
the noise in the background is the fan that's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't care. It's too late.
It's
at
just
this
a
point.
fan. It's our number one fan.
It's a broad topic.
I love this this design here too. Sean Phillips does all the graphic design for these books too, and I think he's playing around with Illustrator. It looks like Illustrator brushes in there, but the cover for this is very striking. It's like painted, but then he's got that digital effect over the top of it, which is kind of a cool effect. Got a little statue there. But basically, what this is about is a writer. Well, he is a writer, but he's made his living as an agent who sells books for foreign markets. So he's a representative that travels around the world to make deals with people to publish American books or whoever in foreign markets, and he's become very bored with that. And he has these dreams, which are very like primal dreams, where he has like killed people to get to their fire and eat like the meat that they were cooking. And he's not sure why he has those dreams, and he's just going to parties and kind of going through the motions. And he's married and has some kids. And he's like forgetting about meetings and stuff because he's just so disconnected. And then one night he just sees these people wearing masks go off into the distance here, and he's really curious about it. You know what's funny is this reminds me of when I did my bootleg Killer Be Killed versus the Max.
Oh yeah.
I had like stairs or something like that. So I wonder if they looked at my Killer Be Killed versus the Max.
They probably stole your ideas.
Yeah, they stole my idea, which will go into this, which will dovetail into this too. So he follows them and takes the name of somebody who was supposed to be here named Griffin. Obey. Yeah, we got some stuff in there. And it turns out to be like an underground club where all kinds of crime is happening and violence and debauchery and all those other kinds of things. And this guy named Rainer shows up and starts to take him on some of these other adventures. But ultimately, what he finds out here is because he's a family guy, he's got responsibilities. Kind of has like this milquetoast persona where he just wants to do the safe thing. But as the story goes along, he kind of sheds that persona and gives in to his dark impulses to be, like a really good gambler or to just kind of do whatever he wants. And there's a writer in this who wrote a sequence in a book that was very similar to his dream that he had, and he wanted to go and confront this guy about him stealing his dream, even though he said that sounds ridiculous. To talk about the stealing from a minute ago there, but just the color choices in here. Jacob Phillips, I think this is his strongest work coloring on the Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips collaboration. Like I love all these cool colors here, and then this.
Yeah.
Like there's still cool colors, but those warm colors behind him just make that like leap off the page. Very visually intriguing work. And we're talking about that Phil Hester thing with like all those captions all over it. Like these have a fair amount of captions too, but like
Did we bring up the Phil Hester captions thing? Did I just totally miss that? Because I was thinking, staring at that page, boy, there's just a lot of exposition and dialogue here. Yeah. Which, there's nothing wrong with that, but that was visually,
It's a
like,
short story.
seeing it here and looking it on the monitor, I'm like, boy, there's a lot of dialogue going. Not dialogue, but like,
yeah, a
captions.
lot of writing on the page. Whereas this, it's got a fair bit, but it's way more stripped down, and you do more showing than telling. And Phil Hester's good enough. He doesn't need to tell us everything. It's a visual medium, for God's sake. Come on, guys.
Oof.
But yeah, man, there's some wild stuff in here. Yeah, if you're looking for
look at this.
a first Ed Brubaker or Sean Phillips book, yeah, I love these colors. This is what the Incognito, that the series that he did for Wildstorm, it was colored by Val Staples, but it had a lot more kind of super vibrant colors like this. And there he's talking about like splitting himself into two people so he can be both the family man and kind of this, James Bond-esque figure that's doing like violence and gambling and the more base impulses. Heyo,
Was that a naked lady?
an alien.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
But yeah, this thing looks great. Like, love the pink in the glasses there. That is like everything about this is just very striking.
Everything pink?
Well, I mean, you saw the colors. They're very, very
No,
vibrant.
the colors are great.
I mean, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, they always do a great job. This is, I don't know if it's my favorite book of theirs, but it's definitely very, very good. Executed at a very high level. It's not my favorite, but
You love anything they do, though. And again, they're putting out comics at that. It's a masterclass every time they're putting something out
yes. Yeah. If you ever listen to the band Spoon,
there. Yes.
like every album they put out is really good.
Mhm.
I would say Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are like the Spoon of comics, where everything they put out, excellent. Solid. Solid as a...
Thoughts, Michael Callie?
I haven't read a single Ed Brubaker or Sean
Thank you very
Phillips
much.
book.
All right.
All
Do we
right.
want to do...
Megaton?
do you want to do Megaton?
Yeah.
You can get into Megaton. I didn't read this one, so you're going to have to do some
Well,
talking here.
I've there's a lot in there, and I was just
Whoa,
flipping
we got
through.
Rob Liefeld, too. Butch Guice, Angel Medina, Mike Gustovich, Frank Fosco. I don't know those.
So Megaton kind of takes place. The first issue was 1981, I believe, and it's the black and white broom, and it's
The Black and White Broom?
the black and white broom, and it's I think how this got started is a lot of people were just looking for work with alternative publishers. A lot of people were looking for alternative superhero universes to Marvel and DC. Where again, soon on you had the things like Ninja Turtles and such.
Youngblood, 1987.
And Rob Liefeld
First appearance.
calls Gary Carlson the grandfather of Image Comics, because at the time Gary Carlson was looking for submissions for people to do this Megaton comic. And I think like how Eric Larson got on board was he was sending submissions to, is it Charlton Comics?
Were they still around?
Charlton Comics was would publish anything. They weren't paying you. Like they were just like, we will take anything for free and publish it. So I believe the story goes as Eric submitted work to that, they were shutting down basically, and his work was passed along to Gary Carlson to say, hey, this guy's work's really good. He's not quite at that Marvel DC level yet. Maybe you could just grab him up and he could help launch this Megaton comic for you. Although he didn't do the first couple, but
Is that why Steve Ditko did so much stuff for Charlton? Is he could just do whatever he wanted and they would just run it?
That would make a lot of
So
sense.
it was only towards the end of Charlton, but I think they were very loosey goosey with the way
Yeah.
that they published things. I don't
Just
know
curious.
all the history on that, but I believe that that's how it went down.
Look at this. Butch Guice, Gene Day, Ken Landgraf.
I mean, there's
Eric Larson.
there's a bunch of killers in this, all
Yeah.
at the very start of their career. It's just interesting how they were all brought together by Gary Carlson here. Although no, this is volume 1 and Larson's in it. So so that could be right off the bat. But I know that again, Larson and Liefeld were kind of influential with getting this series going. More modern, super heroic stuff from like the 80s. Again, first issue was 81. The second issue, I believe, was like 83 or 84. I believe it took a couple years for the second issue to come out. And these were things too that like, you're publishing 10,000 copies of these books.
Mm-hmm.
And it just struck that note in the zeitgeist of the early 80s, I guess, that people wanted these black and white books that were not necessarily more mature, although I think this maybe is a little bit more mature than like a
you got some
Marvel.
Ken Landgraf in here.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
again, just an interesting community of creators that came together for this book, these 8 issues, and I think it was very influential with how those indie comics of the 80s were made.
Yeah, with just a little bit more creative freedom for the people making them, so they can kind of do and make the things that they wanted to do.
Yeah, and obviously all these people, for the most part, went on to have big careers within comics, so it's just kind of catching everybody in their, early 20s almost, and just like...
Yeah, I know Ken Landgraf is still around. He's done, he's doing all kinds of commissions and stuff, because he's another person that's been highlighted by Power Comics, which is another YouTube channel.
It is funny, too, because I'm obviously a huge Eric Larson fan,
Mhm.
and I can see all of the panels that he's reworked from this over the years.
Mhm.
Which
Did he rework some of this, or this is the original?
No, I know he's reworked this page before
Yeah.
and things like that, where I've seen a couple iterations of it. So it's just fun to see the evolution of an artist, especially this is, I'm 0 years old at this time, so I didn't have access to this stuff. Although my cousin, oddly enough, who was the same age as me, had a very small comics collection, and he had some Megaton.
Wow.
And I remember thinking that was cool as a kid, because I think they even were advertising like the Young Blood whatever in this Megaton holiday special. I don't even think it was like one of these issues 1 through 8. I think there's some other things that were done too. But I just remember seeing some of his comics that he had from the 80s that, he must have pulled out of dollar bins. And he wasn't a big comics guy. He was more of a Magic card guy. But like, he had some cool comics. And that was my first exposure to Megaton, was probably being like 9 or 10 years old at his house digging through his box of comics and was like, what is this? Like all these 80s interesting things.
You never know what you're going to find in a dollar bin. We're on the subject of creators before they were big, and I was able to find a copy of one of Jim Valentino's first books at Funky Town Comics out in Syracuse.
Is it Normal Man?
Yes, I found an issue of Normal Man.
Yeah, I've never seen an issue of Normal Man out in the
So you
wild.
never know what's out there in the wild, even to this day.
I mean, just even for a young guy, look at the complexity of these scenes here, where this villain's or the hero's being thrown down the street, where he's like thrown into cars.
What page are you on?
Page 46.
Oh my god, I was on the same page already. That's so cool.
Yeah, but just look, this is stuff you don't see even in like modern day comics that are like hyper detailed. This kind of sense of motion and stuff. Like
Yeah.
this impact of the street and all the people around who are just.
Oh, and I love,
taking
we always talk about halftones. Love halftones.
Yeah. It's gonna be the bane of my existence if I go through and add halftones
Yeah.
to Wesley, because it's gonna be 200 pages of halftones. Anyway, Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll make it a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. Look, how bad do you want this?
How much do you hate Aaron?
Give me money and show me how much you hate me. But anyway, yeah, some other. I mean, yeah, those halftones do look good in the black and white. There's just something that appeals to me in the black and white. Like nothing's hidden underneath colors, and it puts the inks on full display, which is, I like inks. I like a good black outline.
Look at that. Go back to that title page. Look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that cutout.
Yeah. It's all very
That could be done today.
dated, but man, I think a lot of this stuff holds up very, very
Yeah,
well.
like I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, I could rip that off.
Yeah.
I could just make that into a mask. Do that in Illustrator. Yeah, there's some great.
Okay, this is
light and dark.
beautiful stuff. Yeah.
When I just saw the cover, I didn't know what I was going to find in the inside. This has actually like exceeded my expectations.
It's really high quality stuff for the time, and I think again this was the start or the beginning of that black and white boom.
81, you said, right?
Yeah.
So this is pre-Turtles.
Yeah, Turtles was what, 83?
84.
84?
Yeah. So is this? Well, the direct market happened, and then you could actually. Here we go. But this is kind of great too.
Oh yeah.
Like the kind of like a naive artist, where you can tell that maybe they're not as studied.
Aaron, I'm going to have to do something with your microphone. I feel like
Am I being cut out?
no, I feel like there's like some kind of like electrical thing with it where like you're not doing anything wrong, but I feel like it's just like glitchy.
Well, maybe I'm glitchy. Maybe I have an electrical field around me that's affecting the microphone in some way.
And you know what? We're at the last story of that first issue too. So it's like, I can understand how, okay, like this is somebody who is just a friend who's a developing talent. It's like,
Yeah.
let's just throw his two
But
pager.
even so, like that, this is still great.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of fun. Like sometimes something like this, like the fun of this is what's missing from a lot of polished stuff.
And advertising now bi-monthly, which Megaton never came out bi-monthly.
Yeah, subscribe now, and you'll get one every other month. Oh, here we go. We get this Jay Lee white spatter. This is where he got it from, right?
How are you doing that in the... Is that all just toothbrush stuff?
It's got to be.
Yeah. Do you know that technique where you take ink and put it on a toothbrush and you get like a splatter effect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I've
you
heard
just-
of that.
You just take your white acrylic paint or whatever you've got, your designer's gouache, and just put
Yeah.
it on there and just go for it. Actually, that would be a fun thing to try out in a future project.
Comic
I
shop
love
makes
the
a comic
little
the hard way.
little thing right there. Megaton is back, where they've acknowledged that they put out one issue and it's now 2.5 years later or whatever it is. And in the same meantime, there have been several other comics named Megaton that have come out, but they've all kind of have a sense of humor, putting all of those characters together. Like, don't get confused on which Megaton book you like. So I thought that was very funny. And again, Danny Don Simpson with Megaton Man,
Oh yeah.
Megalith.
Megalith.
This is other guy. Yeah, Dandy Don Simpson. Look how smooth those lines are. You don't really see a lot of rounded edges on Eric Larson
Nope.
stuff nowadays.
Well, again, he's probably 20 years old here. Maybe
Well,
not.
and-
Maybe
and-
not
and-
even.
And it's reflective of like the other stuff that you see
Yeah.
professionally published at the time. I just make note of it because he's evolved.
Just some pretty stuff.
There's some good looking stuff. I'll turn the pages faster.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of process stuff in the back.
There he is, Paul Dragon.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. In all of its glory.
Oh, look at this. Is really
Who's
Paul
drawing that?
Gulacy. I don't know.
That's
Maybe-
really
maybe it's
nice.
Butch Guice or Jackson Guice, depending on. Oh, there's that piece that was used as the preview. Voice mechanically altered. Yeah, this is some good looking stuff.
Oof. Yeah.
Illustrations. S. Clark Hawbaker. Yeah, so it wasn't Jackson Guice. S. Hawbaker. Yeah, this is like a magazine, like back when they had like magazine style illustrations, like comic books. Like that wouldn't be out of place in like a Warren magazine. How this is being illustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is some good stuff.
Yeah, and then again, there's some other like behind the scenes. Oh, I guess that's just a letter column there, but there's a lot of good like process stuff you get into. I love this too, that this exists in an era before the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of correspondence back and forth, like written letters as to like, what colors do you want to use for this guy? I've given you 5 color palettes to choose from. And then, the response is, well, we can just go with this one. And if we don't like it, we can just say there was a printing issue and blame it on that and change the colors for the next
Yeah.
issue. And I'm like, oh, I just love like the little in jokes, the behind the scenes,
Yeah, it
the making the sausage,
It worked for Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Didn't quite come out right, and you're like, oh yeah, you didn't mean to, and then it becomes part of the mythos. Yeah, look at these pinups. Yeah, these are a lot of fun. It's like a whole portfolio from this guy. Oh yeah, there we go. The Francie Mayo portfolio, 1986.
So yeah, Megaton ran 81 to 88. Again, I think there were 8 issues in total. Never was quite bi-monthly, but just an interesting start for, again, the first Youngblood, the first Savage Dragon. Liefeld has credited Gary Carlson as, the godfather of Image Comics, which I don't know if that's the correct title or not, but I could see how this could certainly be influential. It was influential to those two guys, giving those two Image founders a break. And I feel like there's just so much talent here, and just off the beaten path from a Marvel or a DC. Just some good indie stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just having the wherewithal to publish your own thing. I'm sure that planted a seed.
Yeah, and then Gary Carlson went on to do Big Bang. That was also published through Image Comics, as well as another publisher. I can't recall.
He put Vanguard through Image Comics too.
Yeah, they did a Vanguard series for, it was only like 6 issues. I think it was supposed to be an ongoing. It turned into a miniseries. And the interesting thing with that was they were breaking a lot of young artists again. So
Yeah.
every issue had a new artist. Number 2 was Jason Pearson with one of
Oh,
his
dang.
earlier works. Number 3 was Joe Madureira, which he was still doing X books at the time, but I feel like it was one of those. He's working at Marvel, but he was still taking other works at 1993 before making it big as the lead X artist in whatever 95. There was a couple other good artists on that Vanguard thing, but I think that was what killed the project, was the rotating team of artists. Even though they were bringing on these young guns that were coming up that were like had some things to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I think
there's your Rob Liefeld Youngblood ad.
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld and Hank Canals.
Oh, Hank Canals. Who the heck is that?
He came back for the real launch of Youngblood too.
Did he?
Yeah, for several issues. I'm not sure how long he stuck around.
I
but
don't recognize that name.
He was in there. Oh, whoa! Is this actually the thing?
Yeah.
Whoa! This must have been actually published in there,
What page are you
or
on?
is this extra? 397.
397.
Did this get
Yeah,
published?
a Megaton special.
Yeah, so he did publish a Youngblood. I mean, obviously it evolved past this.
Yeah. Look at those backgrounds. Beautiful.
I know, right? Yeah, some buildings. A lot more attention to the storytelling in this era.
I wonder what changed.
Money.
Yeah, making it super dynamic.
Yeah.
Putting an anchor on every page, because then when you go to the convention, you can slap $100, $150, $200, $300
There you go.
on those pages.
So, 'cause obviously, this isn't the Youngblood team that we ended up with
No.
in the
No.
in future years, which I think I would prefer a little bit more. But it's always neat to see how something starts and how it finally ends up in your hands, however many years after the concept has been fully polished.
And then again, I love all the process stuff.
Yeah.
All day, I want to see behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to include the original Wesley the Robot strips in my collected edition, because it might go better with the second volume, because the second volume is more drawn from those strips. than
I would say do a page of them at least.
a page?
Yeah, just do a couple of them.
Put your very first one in there, just so you can be like from humble beginnings and put it right on the very first page.
Yeah, the first one I did for
Some
the
unhumble endings.
yeah, the first one I did for the Osogonian, they actually changed the title of it on me, so I could like write about that.
Yeah.
in
There you
there.
go,
And then
exactly.
and then the second cartoon was him being like, "Hey, the comic strip is actually not called that; it's called this." So maybe that's a good gimmick to
I think
throw
it would
in
be
there.
fun.
If I have some room in there. Yeah, but really interesting. The art in there was way stronger than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff.
Cool.
Do you want to go into my bed?
We can do a quick one. I mean, I haven't really read all of this. I just feel like, boy, ahoy, for being the local boys in Syracuse, they put out a really nice looking product.
Yes.
It's a really clean, well done, colorful, funny book.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the premise of this bad guy who's going around and killing people with superhero style names,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not they're not the superheroes. And just the gimmick of he pops out of a pizza box with a gun and shoots you. I mean, I think that's a very
It's so absurd. but amazing too. 30 Minutes Are Dead by Mark Russell, Bryce Ingram, Peter Krause, Kelly Fitzpatrick, and Rob Steen. Published out of Syracuse, New York. Got Hart Seeley, the publisher, Tom Payer, editor-in-chief, Frank Camuso, chief creative officer.
Hey. Shout out to Frank.
There we go. Stuart Moore, OPS, I'm not sure what that is. Senior editor, Sarah Litt. Corey Seldelmeyer, collections editor. David Hyde, publicity. Anywho, there's a lot of folks who work there. But yeah, right in DeWitt, New York. Remarkable. 3 people have died at the dye factory after handling the blue ink in this issue. Please hold judiciously. Lampshade man. I love this green guy with the yellow mustache and chin beard. That's just good design right there. So this is what it's all about.
I love that though. It's the pizza. It's a fake prosthetic pizza top, and the killer pops out of the box with a gun and shoots you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just such a
Like-
silly gimmick.
Like if that doesn't get you.
And what's the gentleman's name here? Is
Mort Spitterman.
Mort Spitterman. That's just so funny.
Amazon, Linda Amazon, Mort Spitterman, Horace Strongboy, Spider-Man. He's just exotic
Exotic
magazine.
ag.
The absurdity is pretty great in this thing. Phyllis Vindicator, actual Vindicator. It gets more ridiculous as you go through, but yeah, really, for the concept, it's executed very strongly.
I
Like the
think so.
artwork in this is great. Like I think it's digital using that pencil dust brush. I love that, adding some texture to it and getting the colors over it. So like they're not foregoing those ink lines. But yeah,
Acid chimp, a monkey with a cape and a crown and a sign that says "Want acid."
works for me. Steel Integrity. Oh wow, he's firing stuff. Yeah, there's some good looking stuff coming out of Ahoy. I really liked Billionaire Island. I just got the second trade of that. I have to read through that. But they got Steve Pugh to do the artwork on that. Like
Yeah.
for a company that is in our area.
Yeah, that's 35 minutes away. Like that's pretty cool.
Like it's
Nice.
pretty shocking. Like and not only that, but they've stuck around and they've continued to put out.
Like this is the Supperman's house.
Yeah, they continue to put out like enjoyable, good product. Like it's just, I don't know. I never thought I'd see the day where something like that would happen. Essentially in my own backyard.
Yes.
But anyway, I
Hey.
don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, great. Just a silly, funny book. It's a
Yeah.
funny book.
Yeah, it's a good-looking book. What do you think? We
I
got
don't
through all the
know.
stuff.
I think we
I
got
think
through
we-
everything. We
yeah.
had that other Joe Jusko thing, right?
Oh yeah, do we want to throw that on the thing, or do we just keep? I think
I think we can use that.
Again,
for another
Aaron, your mic
podcast.
keeps cutting out. You're not doing anything wrong.
Check.
Nope.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Come back. There we go.
I think
Check, check.
the Boris Vallejo book would be best for another podcast.
All right.
Yeah, this is a good little set of books. Kind of our
No need to ruin the
Give Me
theme.
Indie Comics broadcast.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is that it? We have anything else? Cecilia, you got anything? No. All right.
I think that's it. I think that's a pretty tight little collection of stuff. Some good commentary. Night Fever, Sean Phillips.
Would you want to just go through all the books
Weird
again real
Work,
quick under the
Jordan Thomas
Here,
and
put them
Shaky
under the
Kane.
dock camera again, just so people can see them one more time.
Night Fever, Edward Baker and Sean Phillips. Weird Work, Jordan Thomas and Shaky Kane. Xeno by a whole bunch of people. Chris Condon, Nick Cagnetti, Melissa Flores, Danielle Irizarry, Phil Hester, Jordan Thomas, and Shaky Kane. Then you've got Pink Lemonade by Nick Cagnetti.
Brilliant.
Great stuff. My Bad by Mark Russell, Bryce Ingman, Peter Krause, and Kelly Fitzpatrick. Megaton, by more people than we could probably name, but let's read the names on the cover. Gary Carlson, Eric Larson, Rob Liefeld, Butch Guice, Angel Medina, Mike Gustovich, Frank Fosco, Clark Hawmaker,
And more.
Yeah. So if any of these are intriguing to you, come on down to the
Buy
comic
them on
shop.
Amazon. Probably cheaper.
If they're intriguing to you, come on down to the comic shop, 112 East Bridge Street.
The Comic Shop.
And pick up one.
That's good.
You-
We haven't
you
hit one
won't
of those
regret
in a while. Yeah, you want to take us home?
it. Yeah, I'm Aaron Z. Lee from iRobot.
No, I'm Evan Coy, confused and ill-prepared, and we're here with regular guest star.
Michael Callie,
Oh,
the one, the only, and the very large today.
The largest.
The largest on this podcast.
this has been the Comic Shop Is podcast.
Yeah. Have a great evening, everybody.